Not that button.
Greetings and salutations to all you out there on the interweb. I am Senor Carlos Blanco El Barbero, the pen and herald for the Kingdom of Meridies, and tonight with me is a wonderful group of people who say they are heralds and know all the things about heraldic law. So let's take it away with Master Alexander.
What a lie.
Yeah.
Somebody's been blowing smoke, my friend.
Yeah, really. Although, quite frankly, I've been a herald longer than all of you combined. I'm Alexander Ravenscroft, Stentor Herald Extraordinary, which basically means that I get to run around with the title and not actually much easier than having an office like most of the other people on here.
Honorable Lord Ulrich.
I am Ulrich Eisenhand. I am the Cipher Pursuivant, which is the internal submissions herald for the Kingdom of Meridies.
Lord Lucian.
I'm Lord Lucien d'Artois. I'm the Kingdom Lambent Herald, so I do College of Arms commentary for the Kingdom.
Lady Rosamond.
I'm the Honorable Lady Rosamond Playfair. I am Herald to the Shire of Drakenmere and a roving herald as well.
All right, tonight we are going to be discussing nine sets of submissions on the July letter that is on Oscar. We'll start with number 1, Inre in Gra, a Norris name. And she also has a new device, but as always, we'll start with the name. Somebody was asking about whether or not the accent was going in the wrong direction for Inre, but Michael Gerard came back and says that according to some other sources, that the submission's given name is correct.
Yeah, the wording in the original report was incorrect with regards to the accent, but the way it's submitted is correct.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
They also had some questions about the formation of the surname, but it also too appears to be correct. So, given with the facts checking out and everything with the documentation, we'll go ahead and send up the name, and we'll move on to her device, which is Ghouls, a Pegasus, Sagrant, Cortinary, and on a Tersh Rayoni ore. Doing a search, they found no conflicts, but as Lucian points out, yes, it is a step from period practice for using a tierce with other charges. Technically, by default, a tierce is a charge that's left to itself. Do we have?
There's only one, so it's not with registration. I just wanted to point that out.
Yes.
And there's the points of complexity is probably around 6 or maybe 7. So it's not too many points of complexity either.
Yeah.
No, because we got ore,
3 colors and
3
2
colors
charges.
and 2 charges. So yeah, that's 5.
Well, I'm counting the color of the mane and the tail, but that may be yellow. I thought it was green.
No, it is
not a reasonable difference.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Can I ask a question?
Yes, please. Questions are always welcome.
When I'm looking at the Pegasus, I'm seeing an Argent Pegasus that is maned and tailed, but not winged or.
Okay. And when I blow it up, that's what I see. It's also hoofed or.
Yeah, I think, I mean, hoofing doesn't actually matter. I mean, you can even violate the rules of tincture on that one. However, there's no argent in the emblazon or in the blazon.
Oh, thank you for catching that. My goodness.
I see.
According to the blazon, the entire Pegasus is ore.
Which is a mistake, obviously. Pegasus,
Let me
segregate.
check the form right quick. That may be a mistake on my part.
It's a very minor. It's a very minor thing. I mean, God knows we all know that.
I totally missed that.
Yes, it is on the form.
It is on the form. Yes.
It is on the
In that
form.
case, so if the mane and tail are actually ore, I don't like that as much because I don't really think you should be missing tinctures that way.
Correct.
It would need to be blazoned. It may not be a problem, but I think the mane and tail are more significant than you know. We don't have a problem doing. We don't have a problem doing it to hooves and langing and arming and that sort of thing, but that may be going a little far.
I see no problems with saying a Pegasus Sagrant Quaternary Argent maned and tailed ore. I don't see a problem with that.
Maned, tailed, and hooved. Or there may be a term instead of hooved. It's like the same term they use for talons, I think.
Well, see, I can see mane and tail because it is a larger part of the hoof. Of the horse. That even though you don't get a DC for it, it was something that you would say. It was like the ship that we had last month.
You're right.
The sails and the shields were ore and argent, and we gave it was blazonable difference, but it didn't give a DC. I think it's the same thing here with this horse. The hooves I see almost like tongues because you see a lot of animals where the tongue will be colored, but we don't blazon it.
Sometimes they do with the French word langed, Langed, but are we required to have the wings a different color, or it's fine if it isn't a different color?
No, well, the wings are argent, so they're the same tincture as the rest of the Pegasus. But the mane and tail are ore.
Yes, and the word argent is completely missing from the blazon on Oscar. It's not on the form. It is there on the form, but it's not on there on Oscar.
Yeah, but that's just an administrative detail.
Yeah.
I put into a chat a proposed emblazon for it. The problem is I have a little trouble removing one ore because I think after you mane and tail it, you then have to specify the color, and tincture should flow onto the tierce.
So ghouls, a Pegasus, Sagrant Quaternary Argent, and on a tierce raying ore.
No, because it's not on the ore. It's not on the tierce.
And a tierce. I keep saying that. But thank you. And a tierce raying ore.
It doesn't look like we have a single rule on whether the wings need to be a different color, but I'm looking in ONA, so I'm not looking in current.
Yeah, but the wings are not.
The wings are part of the body.
The wings are the same color as the main body. It's the mane and the tail on an otherwise completely argent Pegasus that I've got the question with.
You just say crined, CRINED, for the mane. You say crined, and what is the other part again?
The tail?
Tail, unless there's a fancy French word for tail, which there probably is. But crined, entailed, or should cover it, I think.
Yes, but then according to Blazing Grammar, does the or actually break off and go to the tierce?
I would leave it in where it is, or where we're talking about adding it. And
If they want
then
to
they
change
take
it
it
up
out
in
if they want.
society, then they can do that up there.
Okay.
In modern heraldry, they say of the first and weird things like that for the second reference to the same tincture. But we don't need to do that, I think.
Pelican can figure it out.
How do you said it was crined?
Yes, CRINED.
CRINED.
Reese, not pelican. So that.
All right, so crined and tailed.
Yep, I just checked it. That's the way it was used in 2015 on a seahorse.
Okay.
Okay, so that's how we'll send it up then. We'll send it as gules, a pegasus, sagrant, quaternary, argent, crined, and tailed, or and on a tierced rainy or. Why do I keep want to put it on the tierce? It's not on the tierce, it's on the gules. That would be metal on metal.
Where did we end up on the name? I'm sorry, but it looks from the description that maybe they're talking in GRAA with an accent on the first A. There's one person commenting, and then people switch to talking about the device.
Yes, and I totally missed that comment. So does the submitter? Yes, the submitter does allow changes, and they said they had heard back from the person today, and it is it's GR.
Basically, add an A to the end of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's what we'll do.
Good.
Okay, so let's move along to number 2. Thank you, Rosman.
My pleasure.
All right, Julianne D. Vivon?
Yvonne.
Vivon?
Yeah.
Ooh, I like the way that rolls. Vivon.
It's French. Send it back.
No. We mean, Lucianne agrees with me. We always need more French folks.
And this is my wife, so if I kick it back, she'll kick me back.
The only thing that I have is I know as my time as Pennon, we've had questions about the use of certain fleur-de-lis. Is this one of the ones?
This is not one of the protected ones.
No,
Not one of the
or one is protected.
Yes.
Okay.
Or on Azure, I think it is.
Yes.
Yeah,
Okay.
this is registered. This color combination is registered in the device of a certain Duke we know, and it has passed, but he has other things added, so it doesn't. There's no conflict.
Yes, one person said it was very surprising. Here again, ladies and gentlemen, as you look at this, this is where simple heraldry is overlooked and has not been used. So yes, a fieldless fleur-de-lis azure so far is fine.
Well, it is quite.
Say that again.
That it is quite evocative of French royalty, the French royal houses. However, it is different enough, even with the expanded idea for our rules.
Right.
And this is the main charge in her registered arms as well.
That works very well. So I take it, Rosamond, that you were doing some afterwards conflict checking. You didn't find anything either.
I only checked against the Duke because I thought he might have used something similar, but he doesn't have a badge.
Okay.
And his device has too many differences for it to be a problem.
That's Cavalcanti, right?
No, it's Duke Adamar.
Be a little more specific about. Oh, okay.
Oh, that yeah.
Yeah.
We've got a bunch of Dukes.
Yeah, we got a couple.
This is not like Luxembourg where we only have one.
He always sends to Jour de Mort, so I know his device fairly well.
Well, I'll make sure to also pay note that there was the correction. It was transcribed as Juliana and it's Julianne, so with an E instead with
Julianne with an E.
Yeah, so I'll be sure to change that.
It was kind of ambiguous on the form.
Yeah, the consulting herald's handwriting is atrocious. So I will have a conversation with him about that offline.
You know, there's a certain master in this group who created this wonderful thing that will do it digitally for you, and makes it very easy to read.
It does. It really does.
You could use it. Come on. You know where this is, Lambert, right?
Yes.
Yes.
However, my wife drew the badge on a blank form, so I could not then feed it back into my computer. And
you don't have a scanner?
That's quitter talk. Okay, let's stop browbeating Lucien.
Yes. So Lucien, we are going to allow you not to sleep on the couch tonight, and we are going to send it up.
yes.
So
I know, I've heard it's a pretty comfy couch.
It is actually.
all right, so we'll move on to number 3.
But you almost saw the pudding.
Lauretino Vicentino.
Laurencio Vexentino. I would.
Yes, all that Italian.
Yeah.
All that Italian.
It's Italian, kick it back.
No, I like it. It's a great country.
It's not a country.
Okay.
Italy?
Good.
Yes,
All right.
it is. I've been there.
Well, it's a country now, but it wasn't a country in period.
I am
No, it wasn't.
proud.
Okay, he's from. Oh, I'm sorry, I interrupted.
Yeah, I am proud to say that the submitter did the research for the name, and then submitted it to me and my deputy, who I let as a way of teaching, went back and verified his documentation. So this is from my deputy is the consulting herald for this this name. So it's one of Arenal's that we're talking about right now. About the we find that that both commentators says that both names definitely show up within other places. They found a Vixentina, which is the female form used in 1400 to 1524. So the male form should be around there as well. Michael Gerard also gives some more favorable documentation. So I don't see where we would have any other problem with sending it up.
I will make one minor correction on this one.
Okay.
Because, and this is completely pedantic.
Okay.
Google Book is not a word. It is 2 words. Google Books. Because it is an online reference system.
Oh, it's in. Yeah, I see. They in the comments.
Yeah.
So
You need to edit your comments better. I know that person isn't even in this kingdom, but
Are you being snarky?
yes.
All right. So
He's being extraordinary.
Hey, I've got a request for y'all while we're in the middle of this.
Yes, sir.
All right. If you go to the Ethelmarkian 7117 LOI, tell me whether you can see the email addresses in all the submissions.
Okay, hang on.
Ethelmark.
We've got some extra time. This is just because I actually made a comment.
Their LOI or their kingdom?
LOI.
All right.
Because I know the difference. That's the problem with heralds is we know what we're talking about, so we can't goof it off.
Are you talking about the emails for the Herald of Record?
Yeah.
Yeah, I see a couple in there.
Okay.
Actually, yeah, all of them have them.
What is that?
They're also
If you look at it for the first one, you'll see that there, and they're always there. We can only see them internally, and it's like, no, it's out to everybody.
Yeah.
They're just not addressing it.
So what Herald of Record is that, like the submitting herald?
Yeah, that would be the herald that actually puts it in there. Some kingdoms are putting out the herald that did this is this person. They do not typically include the email addresses on the public side or something that most people can go and see. And as I said in my comment here, if I bring this up on a separate browser that I'm not logged in, I can see it.
Yeah, because it's not part of the commentary, it's part of the actual submission.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's an interesting idea to say, some kingdoms are saying this is from this region. If they've got a region or a principality, they're saying here is the person who was handling this one. Part of it that helps with either searching or to give some recognition of the heralds who are going through and doing things.
Yes. But yeah, no, I agree. I'm seeing them all there.
Yeah. Okay.
Which
I've commented they're just not paying attention to it. So
yeah.
They're on the kingdom LOIs as well.
Okay.
I'll be right back.
okay. All right, we got a regularly scheduled. Ooh, it's French. We need to turn it down.
Yes, we're moving on to number 4, which is a new device. Martin,
we can't kick this one back because Beacon said it was delightful to look at. So
yeah, we have Martin de Barney, and he's wanting Argent, a Fox, Passant, Gardant, Quaternary, Proper, on a Chief in Arched Ghouls, and an open book between 2 fleur-de-lis Argent.
Now,
is it double in arched? Is it only double in arched that's a stip from period practice?
yes.
That blazon's wrong. It's a Fox, Passat, Garden, Conturney, Sinister.
Conturney is sinister, isn't it?
I think that's the position of the head.
Gardant is the position
Garden
of the head.
is the way the head is facing. Garden
Yes.
means it's facing you. And Conturney means that its head is
Facing to sinister.
No, Conturney means the body is reversed, facing the opposite direction.
Does it?
Yes.
I thought it was
Garden
usually.
means looking at you, and regardant means looking back over the shoulder.
Yeah, but I think I'm not sure. I think conturning means twisted around.
No, conturning means mirror image.
Yeah, because the Pegasus that we had in number
Was
1 was
conturning.
conturning.
Because it was facing sinister.
But the thing is, do we have the words in the right order? Should it be a fox, passant, conturny, gardent?
Because passant gardent is a posture.
Right, and
So conturning would have to follow that.
conturning probably
Conturning
goes
is an
first.
orientation that follows the posture.
Yeah. Yeah, because you would want the posture. You would want posture following. You would want orientation following posture.
And then tincture following orientation and posture, which is how it's worded here.
Mm-hmm. Because going back to number 1, the Pegasus is sagrant quaternary.
Well, I found a cat statent gardent ghouls in some of another LOAR. But that doesn't show, or gardent proper shows up on another one. But it doesn't say where contorny comes in, which is what I'm looking for.
Yeah. Yeah, I would think that you would go with your posture first, following your orientation. Your posture, followed by your orientation, followed by your coloring. And again, we are talking about a thing that if we're wrong, Pelican's going to just change it back anyway. It's not going to.
We want to sound erudite and correct, if we can.
Yeah.
There are 83 items in the O&A that have Gardent Contourny in them, including Passant Gardent Contourny.
Excellent. Just what we were looking for.
Yes. Thank you, Lucian.
Mm-hmm.
So, and Lucian did a conflict check on that and did not find any. I'm wondering about this little link that we have here.
That's just
that's Kurt's
shortening.
Check.
Yeah, he listed out what his complex search query.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, he compressed it instead of putting the 3 lines of text that he put in the previous ones.
Okay.
So my question would be, is the chief too narrow? It does not go down far enough. And also, grammatically, I always learned you are to try to just use that first comma after the field. So,
correct. Yes, that second comma. Grammatically, that second comma needs to go.
it just needs to be turned into and on a chief and arched, etc.
Mm-hmm.
But does anybody have a problem with the depth of the?
Well, if you look at where the chief hits the side of the shield,
Yes.
it's in the right spot. So the reason it's narrow at the top is because it's unarched. It is a little bit uneven because it goes down a little bit further on the Dexter side than on the Sinister side. But
That's
I don't think
that's an artist note.
Yeah, it's an artist note. I don't think it's.
I think it's a trivial artist note at that as well.
I think it should be down a little bit further because your enarched should bisect where the bottom of the chief is supposed to be. Half of it should be above that line, half of it should be below that line. So it could be a little bit wider, but it's not a whole lot.
I think if you go by where the deepest enarch is on that Dexter side, it looks like it does.
Pull it up.
I'm always trying to make chiefs quite deep, and that's not necessarily.
I'm having the same.
Yeah,
I'm having the same problem learning how to do that.
pull it up and look at it on the form where I have a little bit of reference. Yeah, that's down pretty good.
Okay, good.
I think that's okay.
I agree.
And I think had they gotten it even, I don't think we would be having this discussion.
I posted a link to Mistholm. It has a good example of what a chief in Arched looks like. It is a little bit more narrow than a regular chief, but not significantly so.
Right.
Okay.
But then again, that's a chief in Arch without having any charges on it. Granted,
Right.
you would want to try to beef it up just a little bit to get, I would say that's your bare minimum chief right there.
Yeah, Mistholm also says that, or at least Bruce's Armory page, this Conturni and Turn to Sinister may also be used in lieu of Reversed. Makes me think that Conturni has to deal with a moved posture or an active posture as opposed to this. Which just returns back to my idea that I think this should be pointed as it's too sinister as opposed to Conturni.
Mm-hmm.
The practice lately has been to use Conturni instead of too sinister.
Yes.
Okay.
It wasn't very common.
Partly a practice being used to sound more heraldic, I guess.
Well, sinister is very heraldic. That's why we have the Frank.
But Conturni is something that is used a lot. I run across it a lot.
Okay.
All right. So we'll make the blazing changes to my notes. Number 4. And on a chief.
Yes.
So there we go. All right. So moving on to number 5.
Nanina Benedetti.
And not college, as Oscar decided it was going to be.
Yeah. How did that happen?
I'll tell you how I think that happened.
How do you think that happened?
I think that happened because I had started to put in the College of Phoenix Rising thing, and I had stopped to ask you a question about it, and you told me you'd get back to me when you got home, and so I cleared everything out and proceeded with this one instead. And for some reason, Oscar decided that it was still college. Even though I cleared everything out and I changed, what submission type it was and everything.
Oscar has, weird ways about it.
The bizarre thing is that didn't come up in Proto LOI.
And it didn't come up until it was published.
It didn't come up until I hit publish.
Of course. It's software.
Yeah.
It's causing you to drink.
It is.
It's PHP. That happens in PHP.
All right, so let's talk about her name here. We the submitter. We do have a little bit of a criteria here. The submitter is desiring a female name. No major changes, ladies and gentlemen. And the Italian language is most important. So, given the fact that she is wanting no major changes, let's do a very deep look into her documentation.
The documentation checked out.
Documentation did check out.
Yeah, they're lit up already, and both of those are found in the documentation where they say they're located.
Plus, it takes a lot of looking to get down to the feminine names.
Control.
Wow, it's a 122-page document. Wow.
Yeah.
Well, helpfully they put the page number on there, so you can just.
Nope. No page number.
Yep.
No,
No.
they put the page number in the
page 42.
I put the page number in the citation on Oscar.
Yeah, not on the document itself, but in Oscar, it has the page numbers.
Okay.
Yes, it is a form of Giovanni. Or Giovanna.
It's beautiful.
The diminutive, yeah, I think.
And the other was, what, 71?
Yeah.
Benedetti.
And it was checked out by an Italian, which is always comforting.
Yes.
Somebody from their own group.
So, and they said it was a great name.
She's biased, so.
All right.
Very-
So we have seen, we have looked at the documents a little bit more thoroughly since they were wanting no major changes. So we will go ahead and send that one up as well. Now, ladies and gentlemen, we come to number 6. Petros
Oh,
Petrus Mysticos.
Mysticos.
Mysticos, yes.
Mysticos.
A wonderful gentleman.
They are wanting fieldless, a mullet of 6 points, or pierced of an equal armed crossed forming. A lot of people had a little problem with the piercing because I believe piercing doesn't necessarily take a certain shape other than a geometrical circle or roundel. At first, people were wondering about metal on metal, but we have to remember that this is a fieldless field. So technically, that cross is going to be whatever color is whatever that cross is going to be whatever color they attach it to. Some people were asking for an IAP.
Which means you have to have 3 examples.
Correct. Michael Gerard says, don't know about period, but in the ONA, the only registrations of pierced of, meaning with a hole of the stated shape, as opposed to with a sword / arrow through it, or with a door in it, or with a round hole of the stated tincture, are Honora Stewart's device from 1993, Azure a cross nowie of a longeon, pierced of a longeon, and on a chief or 3 longeons azure, and Morden that name. Device from 83 per pale sable invert a saltole within and conjoined to a cross now a lozenge or pierced of a lozenge of the field and in chief to Byzance.
The most recent pierced of that I can find in ONA is from 2000.
Okay, and what did it state?
Azure, a lion's head cabossed or pierced of a sword inverted on a teeth and arched, and it continues.
Okay,
Yeah, that's probably a different thing.
Yes, that's a different type of piercing.
Yeah, this is that's really. I'm sorry.
Also from 2000, there's a precedent that I haven't found anything overturning this precedent, so I'm assuming it's still in force. But it says current precedent is that we only allow the piercing of charges on fieldless badges when those charges were found pierced in period armory. So unless we can find a period armory with a 6-pointed mullet pierced with a this particular type of cross, then it can't be fieldless.
Yeah. It makes sense that they want to retain the original shape, especially when it's a badge. There's nothing else happening on the screen or on the field.
Then I'm agreeing that we're looking at an IAP problem.
Yeah.
So we get back to him to look.
to not to pierce this thing, but to find a tincture, find a color, and stick it on there. Is that I suspect he may really want the piercing.
Mm-hmm.
Here's my question. Can we have a cross-shaped hole as a pierce?
If we can find it as an IAP, which means if you can find it in period armory, then yes. But if you can't, then no.
It seems a lot to ask to find 3 separate ones. So do we normally say you need an IAP, we're sending it back to you? Or because normally we don't do the research at this level? Is that correct?
Not to that depth.
Yeah, I think not. I mean, it's beautiful. But
Yes, it is a lovely device, and I would like it to go through, but it's not.
I mean, pretty much all of the people that commented on this are College of Arms commenters, so they're going to have the same comments when we send it up that they had here.
exactly.
I don't think, including our outgoing Wreath, who just stepped down. So
Yes, but she was thinking that the cross needed a tincture for getting not seeing the fieldless. I mean, I will admit the first time I looked at the picture, I totally blanked out. Oh, this is a fieldless device. It's that pierce is going to be whatever color they put that on.
Yeah, it's obviously a piercing because it's not. Otherwise, it would be a conflict. There is actually a possibility of doing Argent on ore, but that was the Kingdom of Jerusalem, which was Argent a cross throughout ore.
Yes.
But you can't conflict with that.
I think our final call has to be what Iago Adam said as the very last comment. We still need examples of fieldless badges pierced with a complex shape, and we're not really seeing that easily. We're not finding that, and we're not familiar with it.
Right. I was just asked a question. If the field can be black and still pass. The problem that we're having is not the tincture of the cross, because technically there is no tincture of the cross because it is a fieldless device.
however, if we give the cross a tincture, then that solves the problem.
Correct.
But we can't do
But
that.
it can't be Argent because then it's metal on metal.
Right.
It still has to go back
So,
to him. That's a decision because he has a
Yeah.
The recommendation would probably be go ahead and send this back to the submitter and state that he needs to find 3 cases of a 6-pointed mullet, or since a mullet is a mullet, does he just need to find 3 mullets, regardless of number of points?
He needs to find objects that were pierced with this
with a
cross.
complex shape.
No, or with a complex piercing.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah,
So he needs to
because-
find 3 items of a complex.
Most of the period examples of piercing are roundels, which are not complex.
Right. Or lozenges, which lozenges, which are that's still a simple geometric shape. Crosses get into a little bit more because they have many points and sides and stuff like that.
I would say just go with what Iago wrote. Actually pull the last part of that last comment. A fieldless charge with a complex, pierced of a complex shape.
Right. Or
Because
we can
that's what I think would be
suggest him giving a color to the cross.
The cross.
To the
That
cross.
is not Argent.
Yeah,
It
that
could
is
be-
not Argent.
Any of the colors.
as a color as opposed to a metal.
Yes.
Correct. So yeah, it's either he finds 3 three instances of a complex shape piercing, or give the cross a colored tinctured.
Yeah.
So I think that's going to be what we're going to do. So.
And he might, and considering the fact this is an IAP, he might need it to be a mullet.
Yes, we don't know that.
Where was it stated?
Because IAPs are basically, you're doing exactly this.
Yeah.
So a complex field badge pierced, I mean, what he really needs is examples of mullets pierced of crosses.
You could also add Michael Memories comment, but that's just if it goes forward, it should be called the cross forming.
Where was it? Where was it stated?
That was near the bottom.
No, it was something else that was stated that it was. Oh no, one of you said that something about the way Cena reads is that he may have to find, because we don't have nobody is finding period examples of a mullet being pierced, that he may have to find a mullet's piece. That's why I was asking, does it have to be a 6-point? Can it just be a 5 or a 4-pointed mullet? Because a mullet is technically a mullet, no matter the number of points, correct?
Well,
yes,
no.
It's not a matter of the points, it's the matter of piercing. Piercing is always a circle shape that we know of, that I know of for a mullet. A mullet pierced is just a circle.
Yeah. And I mean, he might do it if they were to show mullets of various point numbers, because we do differentiate to an extent certain numbers of
points on the mullet.
Points on the mullet.
Okay.
For very low numbers.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, 3 and 6 are obviously different. For example, they make a difference there. But I think at the very least they need to be cross shapes, low numbers of points and cross shapes.
Okay.
As close as possible, but
yeah.
3 items of low number points or cross shapes, or give a tincture of color to cross.
And pull it across for me. So we've given that back to him too for a resubmit.
Cross for me. Okay.
Good. Next one.
Next one that we have is number 7. It is a new branch. It is the College of Phoenix Rising.
Yes, that's wonderful.
While the submitters did not say anything about the name, I mean, the commenters did not say anything about a name. What we do have is that they're trying to use rising as a name element and not a posture. And as far as I know, you cannot do you cannot use a charge as a name element.
I live in the Shire of Rising Stone.
But when was your shire authorized?
I don't know.
Authorized? Quite a long time ago?
Bladenfeld was still a barony the first time.
Yeah.
So it was what, pre-2003? I think that's right.
Yes, but Rising Stone, using rising as a name element, that's different than Phoenix Rising because the name order is different.
And that's true. I was getting on the rising. I mean, you can use rising in a name.
Yes, but Phoenix Rising.
Well, rising, according to the Dictionary of English Place Names, is a location. A rising is a location.
Well, and of course, this
So
is
then
from
Phoenix would be
97.
the modifier on rising.
It's an adjective, according to, of course, this is out of date, 1997, but I don't know if there have been any changes. A badge was authorized an Oriental Phoenix Rising. So that's the common use of the term. And sometimes you have, or a phoenix is defined as an eagle rising displayed out of flames. We know that's what they meant by Phoenix Rising. Can we help them get it by adding horizon as noted in the documents?
They might be able to get Rising Phoenix. They've given us two words, but they're not really putting them together.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not a question of whether you put an H in front of the R or not. It's a place name.
If we were to do that, then we would have to find an Old English spelling for Phoenix.
Yes, we would.
Because we have to use, if we use lingua anglica for one word, we have to use it for all of them.
But given the fact that
I'm going to see if I have that book. I think I do.
given the fact that branch names need petitions signed, which I have seen the paperwork. I have seen the paperwork. There is petitions for both the name and the device. I don't think we have the ability to change what they are sending.
Oh no, I don't. I certainly don't think we do. But they also have not. They've not provided us. And I don't know whether this is a stopping point, but basically, what they have almost effectively done is given us two words, but they've not given us a pattern that says this fits within a known naming pattern.
Correct.
That
I don't know whether that's sufficient for return.
Let's see now.
But at the very least,
let's see what Cena says for household patterns.
how about you do Lysina household?
It doesn't look like PH is used at the start of a word in Old English. We check F. Actually, I'm going to check online. Sometimes that's a better source. Okay, from dictionary.com, which is not the best of sources. And it's been spelled F. Okay, the word origin is actually Old English. It's F-E-N-I-X.
But I'm thinking would we also have to actually no we won't, because The branch name designator is not actually part of the registered name.
Correct. So we don't need to worry about it. We just need to figure out what to do about Phoenix Rising.
Right.
Okay. Page 114, a concise Anglo-Saxon dictionary. Phoenix is spelled F-E-N-I-X. Meaning the bird phoenix. So change the name spelling. I don't know Old English grammar. I can't answer on that one.
So maybe we should send this up and
Okay, I just found. All right, so non-personal names are names other than personal names. They include branch names, awards, orders, household associations, and heraldic titles. To be registered, non-personal name must submit the name submission must meet the following standards. The designator and substantive element must be demonstrated to be suitable for the type of item. Each type of element must be suitable for a specific time and place, or must otherwise meet the standards set out in NPN.1. The name as a whole must be demonstrated to be grammatically, structurally correct. This means meeting the standards for lingua and temporal comparability set out in NPN.2. Name must be free of conflict and presumptions as set out in NPN.3 and 4. The name must not be offensive as set out in NPN.5.
A phoenix rising would be completely accurate in period heraldry. It would work as a heraldic term. But
which, yes, you see a lot of.
But they're not registering a blazon.
Exactly. And I think you'd have to go to the in names and that category to find something similar.
NPN 1. See, one of the things they talk about is it actually has to. One, C, when you get to standards for designators and substantive elements, which is C under that.
Which is where I'm at right now.
It talks about not only the elements, but also the construction. And I do not believe that I don't believe they've got a proven construction in this submission.
That was the issue that I was talking about, where, the name elements, they work, but not necessarily in this particular order.
Yeah,
and they didn't demonstrate that. I just did a quick search in the O&A. Every group name and order name and household name that has the word rising in it comes before the whatever it's modifying. So like rising stone, for instance, comes before, and every other instance it also comes before. So putting it after kind of makes it problematic if you can't demonstrate that was done in period, which this submission doesn't do.
Yeah, which is kind of where I was going the same way. They haven't provided that the construction is in a period style. The words are, we know these words exist in period. That's not the issue. We just can't show that to be a period way of dealing with it.
Yeah, I think I love their name, Phoenix Rising. It sounds very heraldic, but I think to be a group, it has to be a rising phoenix.
Yeah. Which means that we're going to have Phoenix Glade and Phoenix Rising if they both go this way.
We also have a household name, Academy of the Rising Phoenix. In fact, that's my household, and we were told to just change it to the Academy.
So with that, they would have a conflict, I believe.
She's not registered.
Oh,
It's not registered. They were told to change it to the Academy. So I don't know if they changed it or not, but the Rising Phoenix part had to be removed.
Who's the head of that household? Is that you?
No, it's Baroness Catherine Marie Elizabeth Devereux.
Okay. And who told her that? Because you can't just be the Academy, because that's simply a designator.
Well, I think she does it without having it registered, having tried to register it as Rising Phoenix. So it's an unregistered household. I mean, it's a household with an unregistered name. Let's put it that way. Meridies.
I'm finding names registered as so and so of Castle Rising, and Castle Rising is actually an actual place cited in the Oxford Dictionary of English Place Names.
Exactly.
Right, but
that is Castle Designator Rising Location.
is it 2 words or 1 word?
It's 2 words.
Okay, and it's a real place, or was. I found the reason for the return in the LOAR. The letter of intent did not document, and commentators were unable to find examples of an academy named after a complex heraldic charge, such as a rising phoenix. Without such evidence, this name cannot be registered. Of course, they were talking about academies, but they did not find a complex heraldic charge example for academies.
Hello.
I don't know if that helps us or not.
I think that would transfer over to branch names. I would think.
I think so. You would want the similar format. Do you need the date of that LOAR, Carlos?
Yes, please.
Okay, it's May 2014. Meridies returns. And her name is Catherine with a C, but there's only one return that month.
May of 14.
Yes. Yes, I think the workaround on the name element
Would be switching.
I mean, a phoenix and a place by brushwood don't fit together in any way.
No.
So would we return it and say the only variant we can see that they could do is change it to Rising Phoenix?
I believe so.
unless they want to change it to something else.
Yeah, but if they want to use both those terms, they have to put Rising first, as far as we can tell.
Yeah, as far as we can tell. Because then technically, I mean, you are naming.
Yeah, the village of Castle Rising, the castle was named or anyhow, the village was called Castle Rising.
Mm-hmm.
That's completely different from Phoenix Rising because it's
The castle was probably named after somebody named Rising.
probably, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, for right now, we can't
Yes.
find a benefit. We cannot find a benefit of doubt to send this up any further. And because we cannot make changes to it due to it being something that needs to be petitioned, I think we're going to need to return it.
I think so.
Let's go ahead and do this though, just so we can give them some good news. Let's go ahead and double check and go through the device so that we can let them know if there's anything wrong with if there is anything wrong with the device. Lucian, you said that you found no conflicts.
I did not.
Yeah, Kirk Braun found no conflicts. There's a little bit of an artist note that when they did a image layover.
No, they cut it out and taped it to the form.
Yeah, that don't fly.
But we don't even look at the device. Is that correct?
Well, we can't set the device up without the name.
Yeah, we can't.
We're wanting to check it to see if it's
We
clear.
can check it now
So we
to
can
see
let
if
them
it's
know
clear.
if it's clear.
Yeah. So then when
Yeah.
they resubmit the name, they don't have to worry about the device because we've already conflict checked it for them.
Okay, so it
And
has
something-
been conflict checked.
Right.
Yes.
The only thing is technically an administrative issue where they need to actually put the artwork on the device and not do a taping. So,
And the outline, which several people mentioned.
that's what we're talking about. That's the reason why it's like that. It's because it's actually not colored onto the form. It was colored onto something else, and they taped it to the device. I mean, taped it to the form.
That's where it's nice to have a Xerox that can increase or decrease. And I would also say that Elena Wythe put in a slightly different blazon.
Yes.
And cleaned
Yes.
it up a bit.
You cleaned it up. That's a good phrase for it.
Yes, I'll send that along to them too. That this is a more concise blazon.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right, so we're moving on to number 8. Portia Secunda?
Portia Secunda.
This is a name change. She is she's retaining her old name as a alternate. Both are coming from a simple guide to Imperial Roman names. Both are the female. Well, one is the female nomen, and one is the female cognomen of the male versions of that name. Sources indicate feminine variations of nomen and cognomen formed by dropping the us and adding an a. Sources also indicated that the typical pattern for Imperial Roman feminine names is feminine nomen plus feminine cognomen.
That's some concise documentation right there.
Yes.
Kudos to the consulting herald on that one.
Yes.
I don't know who that might
Well,
be.
the supporter is a bit of a Laurel.
So, Kurt says that both names do show up in the documentation. So, and they do. They do form the turning it into a feminine by dropping the us and adding the a. So
Yeah.
I don't see any reason to stop it and let it go up as well.
And conflict checked already.
Yeah.
So that's excellent.
Yeah, I had to take this call. I'm sorry. What was the decision on Phoenix Rising?
We're sending it back.
Okay.
We're gonna send it back. I'm going to talk about the return that we've had a Phoenix Rising come in, and that society could not find it as a name, as a non-personal name, could not find a pattern that it falls within.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Complex heraldic charge was the term used.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
So we move on to number 9, Sova Kabul, new name and device. The submitter is wanting a masculine name, meaning most important is owl, and that it's the 14th century Russian. Kurt says that both names actually do follow within the documentation. So I would assume that they are both formed correctly. So we'll go ahead and send up the name. As far as the device, which is per chevron, inverted gules and argent, and owl argent, and in base, and S carbuncle of six azure. I would agree that they are most likely co-primaries, as they were asking within the commentating. They found no conflicts.
Yeah, and you can take out the in base because that's the only place where that can go.
Right. Yeah. The tinctures kind of forced them into those positions. The only issue that I was seeing is that it appeared to be a non-standard shape for the forms.
Yeah,
but I mean, given the fact that we have found no conflicts, what I'm going to do is I am going to try to reconstruct this and send it to the submitter and try to get it onto a standardized form shape.
Okay.
That should be no problem because Cypher, how did you say it actually came to you?
This came as 2 separate images and a form with all the info filled out but no image on it.
Yeah.
And so I transferred the images I scanned everything in, transferred the images onto the form. Right.
So the forms came in incorrectly to begin with. So, but it should be no problem to recreate, because from what I'm seeing, I think those are either Pictic or traceable art.
I think that owl at least is traceable art.
Yeah. So it's gonna be no problem. It's gonna be no problem.
I think the owl is. I think that a scarbuncle is Pictic.
Okay.
I can't believe I know the art in those that well now.
I'm getting quite familiar with being able to tell myself.
The one in Pictic, though, it's got 8 arms, not 6. But you could probably extrapolate using that kind of just.
I don't know.
I'm just glad I had real.
Okay, I looked it up on translations in Russian. The only word for owl I'm seeing is COBA, but I presume that's what the submitter wanted. I'm not finding anything in the Russian source that translates it to owl.
Yeah,
Did you say COBA?
Yes.
Okay, that's Cyrillic for SOVA.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Not a problem now. Wonderful.
Oh, those Russians and their silly Cyrillic.
Mm-hmm.
Man, I'm glad I took that semester of Russian in college.
It turned out to be useful.
Yeah.
My French in high school is turning out to be much more useful than my Spanish.
And when you get down to the documentation for SOVA, it does say owl.
Excellent.
Yeah.
So, all right. So, ladies and gentlemen, after looking over everything, guess what? We have reached the end of the letter.
Woo.
Huzzah.
I'm so glad that worked out for him.
Yes. So, oh, I can image grab that. Yeah. So we're going to say goodnight to all you out there on the interwebs. I hope you had a wonderful time. I hope you learned a lot, and we will see you again next month. Good night.